Good evening, folks. Ken Hovind here in the crew at Dinosaur Adventureland. We only have 2 girls and all the rest guys in here tonight. You never know around here. Okay, we're the folks who believe the Bible is true. Today is 25th, 2021, and it's going to be comments on comments and Q&A. So get your questions ready. Comments, we take the audience here first if you've got some topic you want to discuss. If not, I got a whole bunch of cool stuff from the comments on our comments. We believe the Bible is true. God made everything in 6 days. Dinosaurs always lived with man, and evolution is the dumbest and most dangerous religion in the history of the world. It's not a science, nothing scientific about it. Oh, I got to change the number. 164 now baptized here at Dinosaur Adventureland. Come on out, take the tour. Everything's free. Just work on a donation basis, volunteers. If you want to help us do that. How many have taken the real tour with me out there teaching about all the cool science lessons? I love doing that over and over and over. The real tour, 140 acres, cool science lessons, the Science Center tour, the farm tour, and the playground set the record tour. It's free. Come on down, pay us a visit. Let's see, right here. Oh, that's part of the outside tour at the cliff. Okay, that's how to get the kids, pet the donkeys, pet the cows. What do we got here? Oh, the satellite dishes. That is cool. Did you know with satellite dish number 5 and 6, they're 2,000 feet apart. There's a 4-second delay in the conversation. That would help a lot of marriages. Okay, we talk about the quince tree and the sassafras tree. Cool lesson there. And I won't tell you about that one. You have to come try the real tour. Dinosaur Adventureland. Boot camp coming up in 1 week from tonight. So we've got a lot to do. Can you guys get the science of the new church building all done? Not quite yet. A little more drywall to do. Kevin, come on, quit sleeping. Get on the ball, okay? Joe Taylor's going to be speaking at our boot camp. Longtime friend of mine from Texas, Fossil Museum in Texas. We are in Lenox, Alabama, straight north of Pensacola. Visitors today. Tell me your name one more time.
Tony.
Tony. How did the family like the tour today?
It's absolutely awesome.
Now you're from where again?
Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Fayetteville, Arkansas. That's right. Awesome. Good to have you here. Progress on the church building going together. You guys got more drywall up than that. I didn't get a new picture. It just keeps changing. We need somebody to do sheetrock and somebody to do taping and finishing and painting like this week. Come on down. The bird room. How many have seen the bird room he's building out there? Is that cool or what? I can't believe a roll of that screen, 30-inch wide, 10 feet long. Each roll, $25 now. Screen has gone, everything's gone crazy. Electrical wiring. And nails. I don't know what's going on, shipping it to China. Anyway, Debbie's doing an amazing job with the landscaping and the flowers. Flower boxes all over the place. This place is going to look cool. If you want to help us stay open for free, join our 777 club. Go to Dr. Dino. Say, I like what they're doing. I want to help them. We ask if you can do $1 a day. Take us on as your missionary. Make any checks to CSE. Okay, comments on comments. People here come first. Any topics of interest you want to discuss? Those watching live will be second, and then those posted in comments. Let's see, and then mailed in questions. Please keep in mind, cursing or profanity will get you banned from the channel. So will comments that are not on topic. If you want to talk about, why kangaroos, do something in Australia that's not on topic, this is our channel. Go get your own. Excessive comments. If you're doing more than 5, you're probably trying to hog our channel. We're not interested. Go get your own. We can ban anyone we want for any reason. Just being excessively stupid may get you banned. So, okay. I did Whack an Atheist a couple nights ago. These are some of the comments from there, unless somebody has one here or mailed in. Are you taking them in there already?
There's a couple.
Okay. You have to talk loud. I cannot hear you.
Okay. What do you think of the skull they found in Turkey?
The skull they found in Turkey. Not familiar with that one. Probably find skulls all over the world.
Phyllis is asking, is evolution dumber than Islam?
Is evolution dumber than Islam? Whew, that's a toss-up. Yes, I think it probably is. Okay. All right. Comments. Kent thinks time is a mythical being. LOL. Space, time. What? Time is not a mythical being. I'm just saying God, the God that I worship, is outside of time, space, matter. He's not limited by time. If he was, he wouldn't be God. This is not 2021 in heaven. God right now sees everything, all time, at the same time. So that's the problem there, okay? That's one you should definitely ponder. Dr. Hovind. Oh, Christian liar. You got a good name for yourself. Okay, let's see. Kent is grooming Matt. I don't know about that. I hope he comes down here to work and ministry, and if things work out after about maybe 10 or 15 years when I start to get old, then I'll say, okay, Matt, now you take my place here. Jesus is coming. I agree. Grooming him to be the best Christian he can be. I hope so. I want to groom everybody to be the best Christian they can be. You guys have been here a long time, and that's my goal, is to get everybody serve God. Rorin writes in, a liar and a spreader of disinformation, just like Kent. Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, Rorin, why don't you be specific? What exactly have I lied about? Show me the specifics. What disinformation have I spread? When you make a generic comment like that, there's no way to defend against it. That has no meat on them bones at all. Okay, try again. Okay. Jesus is coming. Tell me, where did the energy in the universe come from? Good point. They think not only all the matter was in a dot, all the energy was in that dot. What's the total energy of all the stars in the universe? If you added it all up, that would be hot. Wouldn't it? All that was in that dot. Wow. Energy may be eternal, Mr. Science says. Oh, right. So God cannot be eternal, but energy can be eternal. Right. Okay. Jesus is King says, oh, LOL, energy might be eternal. What a moron. I agree with you. How many second the emotion on that one? Okay. Tick to lick. This guy writes in all the time. Why is that moronic? Explain why that might not be the case. Oh, why energy may not be eternal. Well, I don't know how to explain this. If something is eternal, we keep trying to put eternal things into time. It's not like God was here a long time before the creation. There was no before the creation. He invented time, space, and matter. Now, my brain won't hold that. I don't know anybody's brain who will hold that. But God is outside of time, space, matter. Kent is always forgetting to wear red. I guess his mind is beginning to go to Seruv. Well, I am losing it. Okay. I've forgotten more things than I can remember. But that's good, because there's 3 signs of a genius. One is a poor memory. I forgot the other 2. Okay. Kent, Aaron Ra is demolishing your seminar on his channel. Do something. Oh, I don't care what Aaron Ra does on his channel. Again, can you send me a specific? What is he demolishing? I did a couple of his YouTube from his channel where he thought he was demolishing me. And if you stop him every word or two and realize what he just tried to sneak in there, he'll say, like, we know the earth is billions of years old. Therefore, no, stop. No, we don't know the earth is billions of years old. He talks like a used car salesman, faster than that. How many saw that fastest talking man doing that thing we played the other night? That's hilarious. That's Mr. Nelson. Okay. So you give me a specific, which one particular topic would you like me to handle? And I'll do it. Okay. Marco writes in, although I kind of understand people's reluctance to accept our evolutionary history. Oh, now hold it. Marco, you mean believe. You got to watch them. They always put the word accept in there. Do you accept evolution? They don't want to use the word believe because that would be an admission that it's a religion. It is a religion and you have to believe in it. Nobody has ever seen any animal or plant produce offspring that are different, radically different, could be considered the same kind. Nobody's ever seen that. John, you're what, 76 years old?
Yeah.
You ever seen anything coming from a dog besides something would be classified as a dog? The baby's always, big or little, but they're always obviously dog. Yeah. So you understand people's reluctance to accept our evolutionary history. Do you realize how much he just packed in that one sentence, one phrase? You have to accept it. It's true. And it's our history. No, it's not. You've been brainwashed, Marco, is your problem. And I'll be glad to help. Okay. As it's hard even for me. Whoa, even for a smart man like Marco, it's hard to accept such a thing. He said, I can't understand how people could think the earth and universe are just 6,000 years old. There are so many processes that could simply not have occurred in such a short time frame. Well, Marco, like what? The Bible says the scoffers will be ignorant of the creation and the flood. I think that flood of Noah would explain all the stuff that we need to explain in geology. I'll show you in a minute about the stratification, okay? And 6,000 is a long time. It's hard to think about Abe Lincoln 160 years ago. That's a long time. How about the Vikings running around trying to find this place 500 years ago? Weren't they? That's a long time. 6,000? Oh, now that's a real long time. I'm sorry. You're simply mistaken. Let's see. Alpha Beta. Verified history is between 4,000 and 5,000 years old. I believe it's more delusional to believe in billions of years. I agree. Marco writes in, how do you explain ice cores that perfectly correlate with volcanic eruptions of known ages? Well, Marco, how many volcanic do we actually know the age? Do you think we know the age of an eruption beyond 2,000 or 3,000 years ago? How would they know that was a volcano that erupted? And how do you know it was preserved in the ice? I'll show you in a minute about the ice cores. If the ice core is taken from Antarctica or Greenland with methods for counting the annual layers that all match each other. Marco, if you believe those layers are annual, you need to focus, Daniel-san. Pay close attention. Let me get the hammer. Let's see. Well, just pay attention. I don't know where my hammer went. Oh, he might need the big one for the Marco. Okay. Let's see. Ice cores show us hundreds of thousands of years into the past. There's no way all those layers formed in just 6,000 years, he says. Okay. Well, in Denver, Colorado, they have the U.S. National Ice Core Laboratory. Okay? This is where they bring in it's a giant freezer. They go drill holes in the ice in Greenland and in Antarctica. They drill the hole with a coring machine. How many have taken that core out of an apple? You know, you push that tube through and it takes just the core out. You're pushing a tube through. Well, they drill with a tube that has teeth on the end. And when they lift it up, it snaps out the piece of ice and they get an ice core called a coring machine. Who cares? And they pull up, I don't know, 6 or 10 or 20 feet at a time, whatever it is. Okay. So they pull up these ice cores. Record-shattering 2.7 million year old ice core reveals the start of the ice age. There's the machine they drill the core out with and snap it out. So here's an ice coring machine set up in Greenland, I believe, in a big tent. They stand the thing up, run it down, snap it off, pull it up, pull the core out, put it in a styrofoam tube, and take it to Denver, Colorado, where they study it. Okay. Ice core sample. There's an ice core right there. Pull the thing out, and it's got dark and light sections to it. Okay. 10 ice core samples yanked from a remote Antarctic glacier, this would be near the South Pole, are resting in a giant freezer waiting here to be tested. They have rings on there. Dark, light, dark, light, dark, light. Okay, I agree. You can see them on the side of glaciers sometimes, or icebergs. Dark and light rings. And they're calling them annual layers. No, this is your problem, guys. Snow melt on a warm day will refreeze later, making a layer of clear ice on top of a compressed snow ice layer that will be milky. The layers are milky if the snow is just pressed together, and they're clear if it had a chance to melt and refreeze. So it makes milky and then clear, milky, clear. Sometimes there's a layer of dust in there from a volcano or something. No question. That stuff happens. Let's see. In Greenland and Antarctic, where the weather is consistently dry and very cold, the glaciers are miles thick, but the annual rings are very thin. Notice they keep calling them annual rings. Here's the problem. The deepest cores can measure 10,000 feet. Cores from Greenland drilled since 1990 showed the northern climate was erratic 135,000 years ago. Wow. They told me when I went there to see the ice cores, because when I preached there in Denver, some guys from the laboratory came and heard me preach. They said, you better come see what we do. You're wrong about the age of the earth. We can prove it with ice cores. So I got to go in freezing in that freezer. Got to wear all kinds of special clothes and go in there and you're still freezing. Anyway, they say in the summer, the top layer of snow melts and it refreezes and makes clear ice. Shows up dark here. In winter, the snow packs and shows up as a white milky layer. So they keep saying there's summer, winter, summer, winter, summer, winter. This is the whole theory behind ice cores, that they are annual layers. This is baloney. Warm days and cold nights would give 7 layers in 1 week. If it's snowing, it warms up in the daytime, you get a layer. It's only going to melt on top. Then it's going to refreeze, clear ice, snows the next night or morning. You could get 7 layers in 1 week. So they keep calling them ice core, annual layers, annual layer. Well, I was preaching, I forget where I was now, but the Lost Squadron with some airplanes. They were flying to England to join the war, and they got caught in a storm and couldn't land, so they turned around, tried to get home. They ended up crashing in Greenland, ran out of gas. First guy came in with his wheels down, flipped the plane over, radioed up to the rest of them. He said, don't put your wheels down. You can't land on this stuff. So they came in, belly landed, and did a lot of damage to the plane, but everybody survived, okay? Well, they went to find those, a guy from Kentucky with a bunch of money said he liked airplanes. He said, I'm going to go get one of them airplanes off the ice in Greenland. So they went there with ground penetrating radar to try to find the airplanes in the ice. It turned out the whole glacier had moved, and they were like, I forget, it's a couple of miles away from where they landed because the ice was moving, right? The lost squadron was 263 feet down in only 48 years. Wait a minute. 48 years, 263 feet. Okay, keep that in mind. They melted a giant hole down to get to one of the airplanes, took it apart, brought all the pieces up through the hole, and put it back together in Middleborough, Kentucky. It's called the Glacier Girl. It still flies in air shows. Just Google Glacier Girl, one of the split-tail airplanes they made. So they took it apart, the P-38, brought it up, just go to the Lost Squadron. There it is. It's in Middleborough, Kentucky, flies around in air shows. Okay, 1942 when they landed, 1990 when they dug it out, that's 48 years, 263 feet down, that's 5.5 feet every year of ice on top. 10,000 feet is the deepest core they had drilled at the time. That's only 1,800 years. Now, the deeper layers get pressed. It's thinner, I know, because of the pressure. I understand all that. But 4,400 is plenty of time to get all the ice at the North and South Pole. Plenty of time. And by the way, the planes do not sink in the ice. If you set a penny on an ice cube, it'll slowly sink in, just because of the weight. Airplanes are always built nose heavy. If you run out of gas, you want to come in nose first, not tail first. So they always build them slightly nose heavy, and the airplanes were still dead level. Had they been sinking in the ice, they would have been out of level. Another story. So Bob Cardin came to talk to me. I visited his museum in Middleborough, Kentucky. He helped dig out and restore the P-38. He said they dug down 62 feet through the ice and they hit a plywood cover left by the 1983 expedition. Somebody had gone up there 8 years earlier trying to dig out the plane. That means it got 8 feet of ice every year. He told me there were many hundreds of layers of ice above the airplanes when they dug them out. He told me that 30 to 40 rings accumulated in 9 years while they're working on the airplane. Well, if you get 30 or 40 rings in 9 years, I don't think it's common sense to call them annual rings, is it? They're not annual rings. Brian Irvin of New York, there's his phone number, it was anyway, flies to the South Pole often to deliver supplies and has lots of info about rapid ice accumulation. This article in Scientific American 20 years ago is still calling them annual layers. They are not annual layers. Ice core basics. Yep, shows the Antarctic glaciers. Ice cores can be used to date counting annual layers on their utmost. I downloaded this about an hour ago. They're still teaching this garbage on the internet. 800,000 years. How far back can ice cores be dated? No, you find 800,000 rings maybe, but you can't count them after you go down so deep they get pressed together and they merge together. They can't count 800,000. But so ice cores tell scientists about temperature, precipitation, atmospheric conditions during a particular year. They're still thinking those one layer per year. They don't get it. They don't want to get it. Icecores.org. Ice cores correspond to years and seasons. I see. Okay. What is the thickness of an annual layer of ice? They keep calling them annual layers. I'm sorry, guys. You're either lying or you're stupid. I don't know of another way to say it. If you're not lying, then you're stupid and need to get up to date. Here's the Australian Antarctic Program. The Australian government spends money on how to date an ice core. Here it is right here. Ice cores. Annual layers of snowfall recorded in an ice core can be counted. You guys are insane. iceandclimate.nbi.ku.dk, whatever all that is. Dating by annual layer counting. Annual layers in the ice counted like annual rings on a tree. And the rings on a tree are not annual rings either, guys. You can have a wet spring, a dry summer, a wet fall, and get 2 rings in 1 year. The rings on the tree are good growing season, bad growing season. Good, bad, good, bad. They're not, they might be annual. I had a guy came to my seminar once. He said, Brother Hovind, he was like 80 years old. He said, I've been carving walking sticks for people for, I don't know, a long time, 40, 50 years. He said, I grow my own trees. I plant the yew, Y-E-W. He said, I grow them 7 years, cut them down, carve fancy walking sticks. He said, they've always got at least 11 rings in them. 7 years, 11 rings. They're not annual rings in a tree either. Okay. Annual layer counting. Now, ignorance can be fixed. I mean, if you're just dumb, we can fix that. But stupid is forever. Dr. Hovind, I got 15 layers of snow on my car in 8 hours. The Inuit Indians, North Alaska, have 42 or 43 words for snow. There's icy snow. There's powdery snow. There's slippery snow. How many have ever lived up north where it snowed a lot? I went to Michigan, went to school up there, grew up in Illinois. There's lots of different kinds of snow. These layers can form very quickly. We've got a couple of these things around here where you flip it over and it makes all the layers. It's hydrologic sorting. See, they keep thinking that the layers are accumulating bottom to top. This is a giant mistake. In all of the earth science books right here, they say the top layer is younger than the bottom layer. No, it is not. Not if there's current and the layers are forming horizontally. When the water's moving sideways, the layers can form 6, 8, 10 layers at a time. We do the experiment at the cliff down here where we shake up the jar. It always settles gravel, sand, clay, gravel, sand, clay. But they're teaching the kids today that the layers are different ages. By forming horizontally 10 or 20 layers at a time, you can get a fossil at the top that's actually older than a fossil at the bottom. Think about that for a few minutes, because they're forming downstream. There's a video, we couldn't get it to play tonight. Just Google experiments in stratification. It's some French guy. He went to the Colorado laboratory where they have 2 big pieces of plexiglass, a flume, and they pour sediments in while the water's moving. And you can watch it. Start at about 13 minutes, and he shows very clearly multiple layers forming with the stream. Not this way, this way. They keep saying the top layer is younger. I said, guys, you can't imagine how dumb that is. Is this top layer coming from outer space? This was all made up in 1830 by Charles Lyell and some others, assuming stratification is vertical, and it's not. During the flood in the days of Noah, you would have the moon pulling the water up and down on the earth, making the tide. It just holds the high tide while we spin around. So you would get high tide, low tide, high tide, low tide. It would change every 6 hours, except the moon's also moving once a month, so it's 6 hours, 12 and a half minutes. Who cares? But the tide goes up and down now in Florida about 5 feet. Bay of Fundy goes up and down about 60 feet, sometimes more than that, up in Canada. No, Bay of Fundy is the second largest. I forget which one's the largest tide. I used to know all this stuff. Doesn't matter. I lost interest. Anyway, the tide goes up and down on the earth. If that's because it gets interrupted, is why it only goes up a few feet. If there were no continents, like during Noah's flood, no continents to interrupt it, the tide becomes harmonic. And a harmonic tide would be about a 200-foot tidal change every 6 hours, 12 and a half minutes. Well, if the water's coming up 200 feet, it has to be rushing in from the sides at the same speed the earth is turning. Well, at this latitude in Lenox, Alabama, 31 degrees above the equator, we're turning almost 900 miles an hour right now, that way, right now. Can anybody feel it? Me neither. Okay. At the equator, 1,037.6. At the North Pole, 0. So the water is constantly moving sideways in and out of that bump every 6 hours, 12 and a half minutes. Going to rise 200 feet, go back down, up, down, sideways movement. So watch that video, Experiments in Stratification. Okay. Raise your hand if there's some from there.
We got plenty.
Okay, I got a whole bunch here. So
Yeah, we're going to be up all night if I read them all.
we're going to be up all night. That's just what I need. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, let me find. Go all the way back. Okay, can you explain in more detail on who sees the Antichrist as the Messiah?
Can I explain in more detail what?
Who will see the Antichrist as the Messiah? Talking about the end.
Who will see the Antichrist?
I think basically who will be deceived is what he said.
Well, the Jews especially are going to receive him thinking he is the Christ. But when he offers the abomination of desolation in the middle of the 7-year period, then they're going to realize, oh no, this is not the guy. And I cover that in my book, What on Earth's About to Happen, and on my video series, which you can get online. On this chart here, I show what best I can figure out for the what's going to come next. We are right about here, 2000. Oh, get this where you can read. Take my off there, would you? Okay. This is the chart. We've got a giant version of it over there. You can get the big one for $25 and huge, or the little one for $10. But got the creation, the flood. Jesus came 2,000 years ago. Here we are today. This little yellow stripe is greatly expanded to be this 7-year period, known as the 70th week of Daniel. And I cover that not only in my book, but on the video series, Whoa, What on Earth is About to Happen? But in the middle of this 7-year period, in the midst, they call it a week in the book of Daniel, Antichrist breaks the treaty. This is when the Jews realize, oh no, this is not Jesus. They're going to think he's Jesus. Somebody's going to come along with all the answers to all the world problems, all the world hunger. You know, everybody come get this microchip in and we can keep track of all the finances and we'll save the planet. Anybody else see how close this is getting? It's just coming like a freight train. So the question again, so I don't go off track, what was, who gets to see the Antichrist?
Who will see the Antichrist as the Messiah?
I think a lot of people will see him as they're going to be deceived. They're going to think this guy came along with the answers. Wow, he's going to save the world. So I don't know if I can give I think probably the vast majority of people. It says he causeth in Revelation 6, he causeth all, rich and poor, free and bonds, small and great, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead. Okay, the mark of the beast. All right, more?
There's
Go.
more if you want to read more.
Yeah, well, let me finish a few things. Marco writes again, how do you explain ice cores that perfectly correlate with volcanic eruptions of known ages? Well, we did that. You can't go back hundreds of thousands of years. I doubt you'd have a hard time proving a volcano more than 2,000 or 3,000 years ago without some kind of historical record. And then if you find a layer of ash in Greenland, because of a volcano that erupted in Italy, you got a volcano erupting in Italy, and the ash landed in Greenland, and you know that's the same volcano, try that in a court of law. Yeah, see how far that goes. Alpha Beta, post-flood ice age would answer this. I believe the ice age happened with the flood because of the flood. The crystalline canopy above was shattered, dumped on the poles, and maybe an ice meteor. Outer space has got a lot of meteors that are ice. We covered that on my video number 6. Let's see, the book of Job contains more references to ice and snow than any other book in the Bible, and it's considered the oldest book in the Bible. Well, correct. Moses edited Genesis. He didn't write it. He put it together from 10 eyewitness accounts, so technically the first part of Genesis would be the oldest. I cover that on video 7 of my Q&A series, a seminar series, about who wrote Genesis. But Moses actually wrote Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, but Moses did come well after the flood. Moses, upside down here. Moses is way up here about 1,000 years after the flood when Moses lived. The book of Job probably took place, I don't think anybody's dated it for sure, sometime before that. There's no mention of the law in the book of Job, which was given to Moses. So a lot of people think, and I agree, that Job is probably the oldest book of the Bible, except for the one section of Genesis. Okay, let's see. Drayton writes in, your definition of verified history is askew. We have history of mankind for hundreds of thousands of years. Drayton, where did you learn that? Go sue your teacher for teaching you stupid stuff. We do not have any such history like that, okay? Jack, people writing things down is not the only way we know how old the universe is. Why would you restrict yourself to one method of dating? That's bad methodology, and it's almost like you're looking for one answer. Drayton, where is evidence of a post-flood ice age around 2,000 to 3,000 BC? It doesn't exist. Well, Drayton, how many have ever seen glacial grooves? I should have put pictures in here. Ice that goes scooting across the countryside will scratch out the rock. Just Google glacial grooves. They're all over, clear down to Kansas City, Missouri. There definitely was an ice age. I think it happened simultaneous with the flood, and that much ice would take 500 years to melt back. If you had giant ice caps on the planet, clear down to Kansas City, Missouri, right here, if the ice caps were huge, that's going to make the oceans smaller because a bunch of the water is frozen and stuck at the North and South Pole. It would take a few hundred years for that to melt. Well, if the oceans were smaller, that makes the continents bigger. All the continents have a continental shelf. Off the coast of Florida, you got to go out, a couple hundred miles before it gets 200 feet deep. 200 feet. What's that, from here to my house? So I think after the flood, the continents were much larger and all connected. The kangaroos could walk to Australia. Oh, just get Google Maps. Look at Indonesia. All this water around here is, 30, 40, 50 feet deep, the width of this room. You don't have to lower the oceans much to connect Australia. So everything was the English Channel that they had a hard time crossing in, the World War II. It's like 100 feet deep. That's it. So I think you really need to look at the continental shelf. Well, my video 6, I cover all that. Okay, so why don't you just mention a typical book? Mention a book typical. The Bible cannot explain what we observe. Well, Jack, I think it explains it just fine. But if you just know something specific, I'd like to see that. Archibald writes in, just because you keep proclaiming it doesn't make it true. Now, that's a good point, Archibald. You are correct. It's also true for evolution. You keep proclaiming that a mosquito and a whale have a common ancestor and came from a rock, which came from a dot of nothing exploding. You can proclaim that all you want. That doesn't make it true either. The Bible's been disproven by science and history. Would you be specific? What exactly has been disproven, Archibald? I'll debate you anytime. Call 855-BIG-DINO. Hey, be alert for Archibald calling in, and you schedule a debate. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Jeff, I recently began watching your Woe series. It changed my view of the rapture. Now I have to get your book so I can study this deeper. Well, thank you, Jeff. I agree. Dracula's dog. Why don't you study how to save our beautiful earth instead of wallowing in despair? Ezekiel, I think we should study how to save the earth from ignorant evolutionists. I agree with that. Awesome video. Kent's mention of a mechanical pencil, which was this one, shows he doesn't understand science. T-Rexes evolved into chickens. Frank. What was left over evolved into mechanical pencils. That's science, he says. Ezekiel, so you believe someone had to design and make a pencil, but that dinosaurs magically turned into chickens with no designer. I mean, you can see why the T-Rex would want to become a chicken. It's much more advantageous. They're much tougher, stronger. Survival of the fittest. Yeah, chickens are really fit. Come see our chickens. Are they the dumbest animal in the world or what? They are dumb. Let's see. It is reasonable to assume an arrowhead or a nail was designed. This is because we use strategies to tell design things from natural things. Well, then look at a cell under a microscope, Tiktaalik. Nothing is as retarded as evolution, writes in. It's more reasonable to say life was designed. D-Day writes, if it's only natural for a universe to come into existence, do it in front of me or I don't believe you. Prove it to me or you're a liar. If a creator caused the universe to come into existence, get him to do it in front of me or I don't believe you. Prove to me you're a liar. Prove it to me or you're a liar. Well, Tiktaalik, I never saw the guy that designed this. Did anybody ever see the factory where they make these things? Do you believe there's probably a factory someplace where they make these things? Do you have to see the factory to believe it exists? You have to see the engineer that designed it? Would it be okay to just believe there was one without seeing them? You guys amaze me. I hope stupidity is not contagious through the internet. Is that some kind of virus you can get? Let's see. The arrowhead was definitely created assuming that it's all metal, Dr. Chaos writes. It is different with stone arrowheads. One cannot exclude the possibility of a random erosion effect that completely accidentally gave the stone the shape of an arrowhead. Dr. Chaos believes, I think I got some arrowheads here, that an arrowhead might have been formed by erosion or chance. I don't know how to help you, Dr. Chaos. Alpha Beta. Base 4 offers the highest possible data compression. 1 gram of DNA is light and can store, and small and can store 215 petabytes. Humans use large and heavy 1 terabyte hard drives. Decades ago, 100 megabyte was a lot. We are slowly catching up with God. Science rules. Actually, we're catching up with nature. Nature, however, had a 3.8 billion year head start. You guys are really, you have incredible faith. I admire your faith, not your intelligence, okay? Nature is God's creation. Worship and serve the creature. I got 20 more of these. Go ahead, Brooke. Who are you? Sheila?
Okay.
Cannot hear you.
Okay. Could the 1-year-old Abrahamic piece accord combined with the recent Israel coalition with the current pro-temple construction prime minister due to swap prime ministers in 2 years.
Wait. It's way too long and complicated. Can't you put them on screen where I can read them?
I think so. Can you not see the screen?
I do not.
Okay. I'll have to readjust the HDMI cord.
Yeah, way too long of a sentence to comprehend. So something about, we'll pick a shorter one for now while you figure that out.
What are your thoughts on the deliverance ministries? And have you ever cast out a demon or demons from someone?
What are my thoughts on deliverance ministries, casting out demons? My take on it is that in the New Testament church did not have a New Testament. It was being written. So they needed signs and wonders to prove they were from God. And I think those signs ceased when the New Testament was completed. When that which is perfect is come, that which is in part shall be done away. So Jesus said, in my name they shall cast out demons, they shall speak with new tongues, they shall heal the sick, raise the dead. I think he gave 5 signs. Well, why are they always doing the tongues and demons? Why don't they raise the dead? I mean, if it's really for today, they pick the easiest ones to fake. You could pay somebody to pretend they got a demon, come into the church, and somebody else lay hands on them, and they fall down, and offerings go sky high in the church. So I am skeptical. I don't fight those people if they want to do that. I'm not their enemy, but I'm not going to join them. I disagree. Okay.
How do you believe, or what do you believe happened to the dinosaurs?
Well, the word dinosaur means terrible lizard. Reptiles never stop growing. Even today, they never stop growing. And the Bible certainly clearly teaches that before the flood came, the people lived to be 900 years old. This is the age of the dinosaurs, from creation up until the flood. After the flood, things changed. I covered that in video number 6. What happened? Why did the earth change? And lifespans dropped off to 400 and then 200 and then 100. And today, hardly anybody makes it to 100. But so the dinosaurs, most of them died off. Well, they drowned in the flood, except those Noah had on the ark. Noah would have taken babies of everything on the ark, including dinosaurs. And the best estimate is there's probably 30 different kinds of dinosaurs that from those 30 basic kinds, you could develop all the others. You could take the dog kind and develop a Chihuahua and a Great Dane in probably 100 years. So let's say there are 30 pairs of dinosaurs, babies, on the ark. Everything was vegetarian, according to Genesis chapter 1. All the animals ate plants. After the flood, God told Noah, now you can eat meat. And the animals are going to be afraid of you. That's in Genesis chapter 9. So I think the dinosaurs, most billions or millions drowned in the flood, and we're finding the bones today. But those on the ark could not survive in the new climate. Some of them have to get to a certain size before they're even big enough to reproduce. And maybe they just couldn't live long enough. I mean, if everybody died when they were 6 years old, there wouldn't be any humans pretty soon because kids can't reproduce at 6. So same thing with dinosaurs. I think many died off climate change or people hunted them. They called them dragons. That's why there's so many dragon legends. And I covered that on video number 3, all about the dinosaurs. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. What do you think accounts for the iridium layer in the KT boundary? The
iridium layer in the KT boundary, video number 7, question answer. I cover that. There's a long answer to that on ICR, Institute for Creation Research.org. They have great stuff. The scientists, they're good friends. Frank Sherwin's a good friend of mine. Call him. Ask him about the KT boundary and the iridium layer. That's just a desperate attempt to try to make the Earth billions of years old and claim it was an asteroid hit the Earth and all that stuff. So watch my video 7 or go to ICR.org for that. Go ahead.
Destroy all humans on Earth?
Could Yellowstone volcano destroy all humans on Earth? Yellowstone is quite a cauldron there, boiling, ready to explode. I don't know. It could really blow sky high. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but I don't think how it's going to end. I mean, there's volcanoes all over the world. But I climbed Mount Rainier. That used to be a volcano. So I'll give an answer. Probably could, but I doubt it's going to happen. Okay, go ahead.
What's your thoughts on Ken Ham?
Thoughts on Ken Ham?
Yes.
Great. I love his ministry. I love what they're doing. He's a Calvinist. I strongly disagree with that. And but no, I think they're doing a great job. Noah's Ark, I'm glad somebody built one. I think it's great. Go visit it. Okay. His books are fabulous. We disagree on a few little things, but nothing major. Of course, if we disagree, I'm right, he's wrong, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Mark says, does the moon actually control the tides? I didn't know that when you were
Oh,
explaining.
I didn't get a word of that. Start over.
Mark says, does the moon actually control the tides? I didn't know that when you had been explaining that previously.
Well, the moon has gravity, and it's small compared to the Earth, but the moon is like a magnet up there pulling our water up toward the moon. It goes up and down about 5 feet in Pensacola. So it holds that bump, and the moon never sees the tide change. It just holds the bump of water on the Earth. We're spinning around. So we get to see the tide go up and down. The moon doesn't. It just holds a bump. So the water is constantly being pulled in sideways into that bump. If there were no continents and the Earth if the Earth were smooth, the tide would be harmonic and would be a 200-foot tidal change every 6 hours, 12.5 minutes, which means 200 feet of water is rushing sideways at the same speed the Earth is turning. And at this latitude, we're turning 886 miles an hour. At the equator, 1,037.6, depending on your altitude. But so yeah, it would be rapid sideways movement of the water, and that's what formed all the layers of the Earth. That's why you find petrified trees standing up, connecting all the layers. They're not different ages, guys. They're all the same. Okay, go ahead.
Has the official age of the Earth changed since your debate with Hugh Ross on the John Ankerberg show?
The official age of the Earth, according to the atheists and evolutionists, has changed all through history. I've got textbooks that say the Earth is 20 billion years old. I've got some that say it's 18 billion. Some say 17.5, I think. Some say 13.772. They change the age of the Earth all the time. I cover that on video 4, Lies in the Textbooks. If you want to get all that, I show this right on screen. Here's the textbook. Here's what they taught in 1980. Here's what they taught in 1990. So currently they're teaching 13.772 and 5 weeks, I think, or 6 weeks. I forget how old the Earth is. Go ahead.
Give me a second.
Well, while you find it, let me do this one. This guy, Oren, writes in, how can evolution fail when DNA is nothing more than a long molecule made of chemicals? That is a real special kind of stupid, okay? Alpha Beta says, a computer is just an arrangement of atoms. Therefore, a computer wasn't created. Would you agree that ink can be put onto paper and make letters, right? This book is a whole bunch of ink on paper, isn't it? But it's arranged in a special design called the English alphabet. Is there any chance that an explosion in a print factory with trillions of pages sitting around and 400 bazillion gallons of ink, is there any chance a gigantic explosion could form this book? And this is primitive compared to one DNA molecule, guys. One. Let's see. Aurorin, if you believe DNA is nothing but a long molecule of chemicals, you are certifiably insane. Go ask them for one of them long sleeve jackets that ties in the back and go sit in a rubber room for a while. You need help. Ezekiel, you do believe in magic. You believe the universe magically banged itself into existence. You believe life magically made itself from non-life. You believe life magically turned into other types of life. The Big Bang, abiogenesis, evolution are all gods of atheists. I agree. And it's absolutely insane. Okay, a couple more and we'll quit. Go ahead.
Okay. Tony says, I'm a stand-up comedian from New York City. Should I continue to defend Christianity in my act even though I keep getting in trouble with the comedy club owners?
You are a stand-up comedian in New York and you want to know if defending Christianity would get you in trouble with the club owner. That I don't know. If you're a good comedian, do your stuff. Jeff Foxworthy, I don't know if he's a Christian or not, but he certainly defends, some common sense stuff and Christianity. And see, if you're worried about that, your job security is more important than doing right, I can't help you. I'd get a different job or do something. We need some Christian stand-up comedians with some good, clean humor. But I wouldn't be going to the clubs to begin with. I don't want to go there. I don't want to make your living somewhere else, okay? Maybe write books, joke books or something. I'll buy one. Go ahead. I love the jokes. Any more?
Somebody else wanting to have more information about your Norwegian history.
Hold on, I'm not hearing you again.
Your Norwegian history.
My Norwegian history.
Yes.
I talked to somebody today from La Crosse, Wisconsin. I said my mom's mom and dad came from Trondheim, Norway. My dad's mom and dad came from Norway. I don't know what city, but my mom and dad met in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and my grandfather Ole Espenes built houses all over there. He built the houses at 22nd and Cass, and my dad proposed to my mom on Granddad Bluff. And I talked to the folks today. They said, "Oh, you know about Granddad Bluff? Yeah, we love it up there. Beautiful place." Anyway, so I've never been to Norway, but that's my ancestors who came from there. Okay.
What do you think about the Noahide laws, or however
the Noahide laws? Boy, it's been a long time since I read about that. I don't remember what they are specifically. Does it give any specifics?
Just what do you think about it?
I don't. I have to know what he's talking about first. I remember the name Noahide laws, but I don't. You know what they are?
There's 613 Levitical Noahide laws that was before Christ and during Christ.
So you're saying, I'm repeating it so they can hear. 613 Noahide laws. Those would be like the Jews' laws about don't eat pork and stuff like that.
Right, exactly.
Well, I think all those laws were fulfilled in Christ. And if you read Acts chapter 10 through 15 in the Bible, they were arguing about what's required of these new converts. Some of the Gentiles got saved and they baptized them. And so there was a big argument. Oh, they got to keep all the laws. And so the church council met, and by Acts 15, they came to the conclusion, no, guys, they only have to do 4 things. And they're all listed in Acts chapter 5. So no, all those 613 laws were for the Jews. They were fulfilled in Christ. And none of the Jews ever kept them all anyway. They were done so that people would say, wow, I'm a sinner. I can't do this. When Moses brought the law down and read it to the people on Mount Sinai, they should have said, wow, we can't do this. Instead, they said, yeah, no problem. We can do it. And I said, okay. And for the next, 1800 years, they proved to the world, no, you can't. So first thing, when you come to Christ, you got to say, Lord, I'm a sinner. If you can't get that far, stop right there. You're wasting everybody's time. You are a sinner. So am I. But that's why Jesus died for you. Okay, thank you so much. Sorry we went so long tonight. We'll have more on 2 Kings Sunday. And you atheists, I'd like to have some more debates. I think I'm on 249. I got to go back and count. But if you want to be number 250, let's do 5 against 1. Would that be cool? I told a girl today, she's going to college this fall. She said, what do I do if they start teaching evolution? I said, challenge them to have me come in and debate. It's not fair to have teacher versus student. I mean, that's not fair, obviously. Why don't you say, teacher, can we call in Ken Hovind right now and put him on Zoom or Skype or something? Let's get him in here. Let's answer these questions. I said, do this. Go to the teachers in your school at the university that are going to teach evolution and ask them, would you be willing to debate Ken Hovind if we bring him in? And they'll say no. Write their name down. Mr. Johnson said no. He teaches biology. Go to the next one. Would you be willing to debate? They'll say no. Write their name down. No, no. After you get a list of all the teachers who teach evolution, and they're all going to say no, I promise you, then schedule me to just come speak. Anybody at a university can start a club. You could have the hamster watching club if you want. And if you have a club at the university, you're allowed to get the student the rooms that they use, the auditorium. So just say the hamster watching society is going to have Kent Hovind come in and speak on creation. The following professors refuse to debate him. List all their names in the newspaper. Okay? Yes?
I think there are 2 more really good ones before we close.
Talk louder, but okay.
Logan asks, how did some animals from the Ark end up on separate continents and islands isolated from others without leaving any trace of their journey and without having anything to eat?
How did some animals end up on different islands and without leaving a trace? Well, animals move all the time without leaving a trace of where they go. I mean, that's not a problem. Or maybe the traces were erased. I mean, lots of things happen. But I'm not sure where kangaroo fossils have been found. I know, to my knowledge, they don't exist other than zoos. They don't exist anywhere except Australia. There's the wombat, several animals live in the wallaby. There are some unusual animals there. But again, if you lowered the oceans 100 feet by freezing the water, sticking it on the poles, animals could walk. I say in video number 7, kangaroos are less aggressive than lions. So if they're both fighting over territory, the kangaroo's going to run, not the lion. So they apparently got pushed to the front of the migration wave. At the same time, the ice is melting, slowly raising the ocean levels. So pretty soon they're trapped, protected. They might have been other places and been exterminated by the other creatures. I don't know, but right now I think that's a lot easier to believe than that kangaroo and a lion came from a rock. I mean, that would be hard to believe. Okay.
One more, then we'll close. How do you share your faith with Jehovah's Witnesses?
I missed 3 words. How do the what? Jehovah's Witnesses?
Share your faith. How do you minister to them?
Jehovah's Witnesses are very strongly in the Cain category. There's only 2 religions, Cain and Abel. Cain brought his fruit and vegetables. Hey, God, look what I did for you. They're trying to work their way to heaven. Abel brought a sacrifice. The Catholics are very strongly in the Cain category. God, look what I did for you. I said, Hail Mary. I went to church. I gave money. I. They're trying to salvation by works. The Muslims are very strongly in the Cain category, but there's only 2 religions, Cain and Abel. Jehovah's Witnesses are in the Cain category. They're trying hard. You got to admire their zeal. They go out knocking on doors, and when you slam the door and get mad, they think, wow, this is great. I got a reward. They love it. So we've got a book, Why I'm Not a Jehovah's Witness, in our bookstore that we sell. I think they're sincere, dedicated, and deadly wrong, seriously wrong on what they believe. So you just preach the gospel to them like anybody else. Ray Comfort's a good friend of mine, livingwaters.com. He's got good stuff on witnessing to Jehovah's Witnesses. Go to livingwaters.com. Tell Ray I said hi. Okay? Thank you so much, folks. Sorry for going so long. We'll see you tomorrow. No, we won't. Sunday.